So my name is Kim Evans, and I have the privilege of introducing the gentleman who's going to be talking tonight. I have been working with him for over 6 years on different real estate projects and as a mentor, as a friend, and what it's done for our life. When my husband and I started working with Kendall and his team, this team, we were broke. Right? And I know people hear that all the time. It's a little bit cliche, but we really were. It was the overdrafts, it was the fear, it was the sleepless nights, right? And it wasn't because we didn't have cash flow, because we did, but there was a lot of pieces missing in our financial education. Would you agree that that's kind of a general, common thread, among our society? We don't have really a good vehicle to teach a lot of those principles. And so when I came in here, I was just blown away. I have a degree in finance. So I kind of thought I knew everything, and yet we were broke. So that didn't really add up. But when I just opened my mind, when I put all that aside, and I said, teach me something different. Teach me how to create, from a different space. Teach me how, Kendall always says, you don't have a money problem, you have an idea problem. Right? And if we can start to look at things differently, then we can start to get a different result. It's just that simple. Does that make sense? And so tonight you have a privilege of listening to this gentleman. If you have something to take notes on, whether it's your phone or whether it's something, a computer or whatever, I would highly recommend it. He's going to go over some information that I would guess would be new for most people. I have people who've been in the real estate industry, who've been in the financial industry for decades, and they come in and they're like blown away. They're like, wait, what? How does that work, right? How do you put that together? And so I just invite you to be open-minded. We're going to, at the end of the night, tonight, the invitation will be to continue the conversation, right? If you like what you see, if you like what some of the results that you're seeing tonight, then it's just a continuing the conversation. So just relax, enjoy the night, and help me welcome to the front of the room, Mr. Kendall Stock.
All right. Thank you, Kim. All right. Good evening, everyone. How's everyone doing? Good. We enjoying it. Are you guys noticing it starting to heat up again? What's up with that? We get a couple of cool days, and it's supposed to be back to 100 again this weekend. That's so messed up. I want fall to show up, don't you? Ken, turn the gain down just a little bit on mine, would you? All right, well, I congratulate you guys for being here. I know there's other things you could be doing tonight, but I congratulate you for being here because you being here is indicative that you want to change in your life. Am I accurate? Now, what do you guys want to change? Let's have a little conversation. What kind of change do you want? Let's see, may I pick on Michelle? What did you come down here for tonight? Michelle, I'm going to grab your microphone so that folks online can hear you.
Sounds like already.
Lorinda invited me, and I'm here to learn more about real estate investing. I'm a financial advisor.
Okay.
And so I'm just curious on how because I have clients that come in and that's where they want to invest their money. And so I met Lorinda and Kim, and they said, come on down and learn a little bit more about real estate investing. So the more I could educate myself about everything about money, the more value I'm going to be able to bring to my clients.
Holy cow, is she spot on? Yeah. All right, give her a round of applause. I'm gonna acknowledge Michelle for being here. I didn't know your story prior to you just sharing it, so thank you. Because you realize most financial planners won't come down? Yeah. Because most financial planners, they already know everything. True? Is it true or true? I mean, if you sat with them before, they know everything. And so I commend you for being here and being open, because I'm like zoned in on a little conversation. Do you help people out with their retirement accounts, 401ks, IRAs, all that stuff? Yeah. Oh, guess what? Me too.
Awesome.
We just use different vehicles, right? I don't know anything about stocks, bonds, mutual funds, but I know a whole heck of a lot about real estate and what you can do with those accounts. So many times, and we'll maybe cover this a little bit later, but oftentimes people are told, hey, you can't use your retirement accounts to invest in real estate. If you touch them, you're going to be taxed or penalized. Does that sound familiar? Yes. Guess what? That's not true. It's not so much that you can't invest in them. It's many times those that are helping manage the money, they can't touch them. They can't do it for you. So you can do it. I've raised over $15 million in private capital, the majority of which coming from retirement accounts. So thank you, Michelle, for being here and being open. This is going to be fun. Okay, who else? What are you guys down here for? What are you looking for? Bill, front and center. Yeah, oh, me. Let's see. Little old me. How did you find me in the crowd? Well, it was easy. I looked down. There you were. Oh, you got drugged down here.
I got drugged down.
You're the unwilling party. You don't want to be here.
No.
That's cool.
No, I do want
yeah.
to be here. Yeah.
So share with me, Bill. You got drugged down here. I totally get it. My wife dragged me down to the presentation the first time, so I'm with you on that.
Yeah, I just want to find out what it's all about.
What it's all about. Okay, very cool. What do you do for work now?
Real estate.
Real estate. Oh. What kind of real estate?
I work for Keller Williams.
Okay, you're an agent, a broker, or an agent?
Agent.
Agent. Okay, how many years?
Since 2006.
Since 2006. I also want to give Bill a round of applause. How many agents do you think that I get down here that are open-minded? And I don't know if Bill is or not yet. We'll find out. You know, that's still to be determined. We got Jackie down here. Jacqueline's a broker. She was open-minded. Lorinda's here. She's open-minded. Any other agents in the room? Where are my agents? I got a. He's like, I brought some with me, so we got a few more. Okay, cool. Well, I want you, my invitation to you all this evening is just come with an open mind. I'm not here to hurt anybody. You're all going to be fine when we leave. Okay? I'm just here to share information. Because here's what I do know. You don't know what you don't know. True statement? I mean, truer words were never spoken. We don't know what we don't know. How could you? And what we're going to do is I'm going to share with you some information that I learned years ago that has completely revolutionized my world. Because like Bill, I was drugged down to this event. Okay, I say that a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but not so much. My wife was the one who invited me down. And I'm like, I'm not going. Because she didn't have a very good enrolling conversation for me to show up. This was the way I was invited. I don't know how you were invited, Bill, but my wife's like, hey, you got to come see this thing my dad's doing. I'm like, no way. No way, no how. You got to go see this thing. I'm like, is this going to be lotions, potions, pills, colon cleansers? I had no idea what it was, and I wasn't interested, okay? And I just wasn't interested in coming down. And she said, well, you know, our current path isn't working out. You should at least be open to look at an opportunity. And that's when I had to get real with myself, because that's true. I mean, come on a little journey with me. It's been years now, nearly 15 years. Actually, it has been 15 years. This month, actually, is my 15-year anniversary in this business. So 15 years ago, I was a student. I was a college student applying to dental school. I applied to 17 dental schools, and they all told me no. Isn't that amazing? Give it up for me. Like just a little tiny golf clap. Little golf clap, nothing more. And, you know, it didn't make sense to me. I had good grades. I had good scores. I interviewed well at the schools. But everything that I thought I was pursuing, I mean, I've been taught, go to school, get good grades so you can get a good job. And that wasn't going to work out for me. I'm like, oh my gosh, now what? I have a useless degree. I graduated with a degree in zoology. That's an even quieter golf clap. I mean, we don't want anyone to hear that clap, because is that not the dumbest degree? Does anyone have a more useless degree than zoology? Yeah, exactly. Thank you for being so honest, Tarek. Remind me not to ask you when I want brutally honest answers. I will not be asking you if this suit makes my butt look big. The answer is no, my butt makes my butt look big. So I found myself going, oh my gosh, everything that I've spent 6 years studying. I mean, because I crammed a 4-year degree into 6 years. Maybe some of you tried that. But I spent all this time going to school just so I could get a job. And now that job wasn't even a possibility. And maybe some of you can relate to some level where you've climbed the corporate ladder, where you've climbed something, all of a sudden to have the floor fall right out from under you. Can anybody relate to that? So it may not have been dental school. It may not have been an awesome degree like zoology. But maybe you've experienced that. Maybe you've been passed up for promotions. Maybe you're sick and tired of being sick and tired of being sick and tired. And that's what drug you down here today. That's what got you here today. So reluctantly, I came down, and literally, physically, I was like this. And I sat, ironically, near where Bill's sitting. I was sitting near the front row, and I just sat there like this. And I'm like, they can't teach me anything. I thought, how stupid is that? What do I know about anything business or finance? Nothing. Because you know why? They don't teach that in zoology. I'm like, open up your mind, boy. You got nothing to lose and everything to gain. Just be receptive. Just let down your guard and hear them out. And so I did. Over the course of the presentation, I let down my guard and I started listening. And I got really real with myself and said, I need to do something different. My family deserves for me to do something different. maybe this is an opportunity. And so I sat there and I heard him out. And then I came back and I got my questions answered and I continued the journey. And now 15 years later, I mean, this is where I started, but come on a little journey with me. 15 years later, I've now raised over $15 million of private capital, the majority of which coming from retirement accounts. And I've completed over 400 transactions. Anybody want a piece of that? Like, does anybody want to have that same result in their world? And we all want the result, right? And we're like, but we want the result, but oftentimes we don't want to do what it takes to get there. What's that? We want it now. Do we not live in the we want it now society? I mean, for heaven's sakes, we have to, it's like you go through a drive-through. If it takes longer than 3 minutes to get your food, all hell breaks loose. I mean, we got to have it now. But that's just not the way this works. So tonight, I'm going to introduce you to the system. I'm going to introduce you to the system that has enabled me to do that. Because where I am today is not where I was 15 years ago where I started. It's a process. It's a system. Would you agree? I mean, with your career, with your job, isn't it the same? Did you start out where you are today? Or have you progressed? You've progressed. So tonight, I want to introduce you guys to the system. The foundation of everything we're going to talk about tonight is education. The foundation is what? Education. Are you good with that? I know that none of you are like, I don't want to be pitched education. I don't want to be told I don't know what I don't know. Well, I'm sorry, because you don't. You don't know what you don't know, and I'm on a mission to share this with as many people as possible, to help give them the opportunity to walk the same path that I've done, because it's literally a system. You know the acronym for system? Save yourself time, energy, and money. Guys, I've made a lot of mistakes, and hopefully by introducing you to the system, you can avoid making some of those same mistakes. So we good with that? So the foundation of everything is what? Education. Okay, now I know that some of you have been down in previous events. You've been down before. This is not your first rodeo. How many of you have been down to our presentation either last week or the week before and signed up for Kim's class? And a couple of you signed up for, do we have anybody that's stepping into, okay, we do. We've got a couple folks that are going to step into the Velocity Banking class tonight. So the rest of you, I'll extend an invitation to you tonight. Well, you can come back next week and learn what they're going to do. So I'm going to dismiss those that signed up for the Velocity Banking class. They're going to head into the other room. They're going to have another little workshop. And then I'll tell you guys about that a little bit later, what that's all about. So, all right, let's jump into it. We're at 7:14. We're good on time. Ken, let's rock and roll. Let's jump over to the iPad, shall we? Okay, thank you. All right, so how many of you have been to a property tour before? Okay, that's most of you. How many have not been to the property tour yet? You haven't been to our property? Have you guys been to the property tour? I don't recall. Well, I just asked who hasn't been there, and you're not raising your hands. How many of you are not going to participate no matter what I ask? Okay, Bill finally participated. Bill, I'm going to have fun with you tonight. We're going to have a great friendship by the time we're done this evening. All right. And for the sake of those that this is your first time here, I got to bring you up to speed. Okay, normally the rest of you, you've been to one of our property tours. You've been down, you've seen what we do, you see who we are. We explain everything about what we're going to talk about tonight. So you've got a little bit of an advantage. I'm going to take that 1 hour conversation and I'm going to try to compress it into 15 minutes for the sake of those who are here. Cool? So for those of you who've seen this, bear with me. We're going to roll through this very quickly. So what we want tonight, what everybody's looking for is a result. Am I correct? You guys want to make money in real estate. You want to go out and buy a house and either make cash flow. You want to fix and flip a house, make massive income. You're looking for the result. I totally get that. But what do you think is going to lead you there? The foundation tonight is what? Education. Education is the foundation of everything we're going to talk about. The reason that people don't get the results they're looking for is they stop educating themselves. They get stuck. They get stuck in just doing the same thing over and over every single day. They get up, they go to their job, they come home, they try to find some way to numb the mind. Some people, they just chill out on Netflix, they use substances, whatever. They're just trying to forget the stress of the day. You know what I'm talking about? And then they wake up and what do? They repeat the same process all over again. Now, I have empathy for those of you. Empathy is probably not the right word because empathy implies I've done what you're doing. I have sympathy for those of you who have to travel here in California. How many of you have to commute to a job? Oh my gosh, what's your commute? How long is your commute? 45 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes each way. Is that like every day or is that with traffic? That's every day. So let's see if this is right. You get up, you have to get up early to go to work. Okay, so you're getting up, you're making breakfast, you're preparing to go to work. Then you're driving 30 to 45 to an hour to get to work. Have you made any money yet? No. Then you show up and you start your job and you start working and then you take a lunch break. Do they pay you during lunch? No. So we got to pause there. We're not making any money. And then you go work a few more hours and you call it good. Right? So think about it. If you're starting your day, what time do you wake up to go to work? 6 a.m. Wow. I'm not an early riser, so 6 a.m. sounds very early to me. Mark sends me texts at 4:30 in the morning. I'm like, what is wrong with you? Like, first of all, who's up at 4:30? And second, why in the heck are you texting me at 4:30? So you get up, you start your day. What time do you report to work, Jonathan? Okay, so you go at 8 o'clock. So by 8 o'clock, you've already put in, wow, not 8,000, whatever. By 8 o'clock, you've already put in 2 hours. How long's your lunch break? An hour. So that's another hour you're not getting paid. Okay, and then how late do you work in the afternoon?
I get on at 5, but then right after I get off of the dealership, I go straight to FedEx.
Oh my gosh, so he says he gets off at 5 o'clock. Okay, so he works from 8 to 5. He has a 1 hour lunch break. So you put in 8 hours, okay? And is that right? Or is that 9? Don't ask me to do math. That's 9 hours, but 8 that you're working. Okay, 8 that you're working, and then you're going to another job. But then you got to commute, right? So you've got another 30 minutes on top of it that you're commuting. Look at how frustrating this is. We get up, we go to work. You guys care if I ditch my jacket? I mean, I wore it for the first few minutes.
That's right.
That's impressive. And now I'm getting really hot. So you're working all this time. Okay, so you're putting in, and what time do you get home from your other job? 1 o'clock in the, when do you sleep? Okay, so he doesn't have a microphone. I should give it to him so we can hear him. But I said, when do you sleep? And he says, I don't. So he gets up at 6 in the morning. He gets home at 1 in the morning. Because he says he wants to buy a house. Okay? Look at that. Look how much time he's spending. And then here's the crazy thing. So, your story is going to be some version of this, yes? You get up, you're working, you put all this effort and getting ready, and you go to work. And then you go do your job, and then you take time off, go to lunch, you're not getting paid. And the challenge is we do this, we do whatever our version of it is, and we take 100% of our income, and before you ever touch your check, what has been pulled out of it? Taxes. Taxes. Before you ever touch your money, a third of your check has come out and gone to pay taxes. How many of you are falling into the same boat? You guys can relate with that? How many of you feel like you're paying too much in taxes? Way too much is the comment that I'm getting. Okay, my question to you is, what are you doing about it? You're doing nothing. You know you're paying too much in taxes, yet you say you're doing nothing. So guess whose fault it is? It's yours. Do you know there are things you can do to change your tax situation? Some people yes, some people no. But if we don't act on it, if we don't act on what we know, it's useless. Okay? So then a third of your income goes to pay interest. You're saying, what are you talking about? Where are we paying the most interest in our life? On our homes. Anything that we have a loan on, anything that we have debt on, you're renting your debt. Okay? You're renting your debt. Your mortgage has got a ton of interest. Your car loans have a bunch of interest. Your student loans, your credit cards, another third of your interest goes to debt. And people are like, I'm not sure that's true. You don't know what you don't know. If you've been down before, you are going to be blown away by what Kim's covering in the other room. Okay? And then that leaves 1/3 left to live on. We're like, no wonder we stay broke. And this is called living life by default. You just get up, you do the same thing over and over and over, and hope something's going to change. When does it ever change? Never. Not until we consciously make a decision to do something totally different. Folks, I want to be part of that conscious decision tonight. I want to be part of introducing you to a change where you no longer have to live by default because you realize life is a choice, yes? People are like, all the kids now, they're saying YOLO, which stands for what? You only live once. What a bunch of crap. You only die once. How about we live every day? How about we live every day? We lost a dear, dear member of our community yesterday. And I've known her for 14 years. And she passed away unexpectedly yesterday. Folks, you only die once. You got to live every single day. That's Donna Lee. Jacqueline, if you remember Donna. Donna Lee passed away yesterday. Her cancer just spread so quickly. Folks, tomorrow is never promised. So let's stop living life by default. Let's do something that sounds way more fun. And frankly, it doesn't just sound more fun. It is more fun. What if we can reduce the taxes so that it looks more like this? What if we can get in here where our tax liability goes down to about 10%? If we can reduce your interest by 2/3, get that down to about 10%. What's left to live on if we can reduce those expenses? 80%. How many of you, just on those simple numbers, believe it would be easier to live on 80 than 30? I mean, come on, it makes sense, doesn't it? It's just math. It's not magic, it's math. So why aren't we taking the time to learn how to live life by design? I don't know the answer to that. Oftentimes it's because we don't know where to search. Now, I'm guessing that for many of you, this is not your first rodeo. You've been wanting to get into the game of real estate for quite some time. Is that true? For how many of you is that true? Okay, you've been wanting, okay, Bill, you got the microphone. Let me ask you, he's like, dang it, do not ask me. No, you can't go to the back. It's hot back there. You got the best seat in the house. Okay, Bill, so how long have you been wanting to get into real estate investing?
A long time.
Like, quantify that for years. 1 year, 2 years, 10 years?
No, more than 10 years.
More
yeah.
than 10 years. Okay, let me ask you, what's held you back? Why haven't you done it?
Well, first of all, money.
Okay,
need
you
money.
got too much of it?
Not enough.
Okay. Okay, so money. Anybody else? Does money hold you back? Okay. I'm also going to put credit into that same category, can I?
Credit, yeah.
Money and credit. Okay, what else?
Time.
Time. And I'm not just going to pick on Bill the whole time.
Oh, thank God.
What else? Oh, I like this guy. This is going to be
Can I
fun.
give him my card? He wants to buy a house.
Yes, absolutely. You can pass some business cards around here. All right, who else? I'm going to pick on, okay, Frankie. What else holds people back? You've been wanting to do it? Fear? Fear. I'm going to put that one in red because that holds everybody back. Fear. And honestly, guys, what creates fear? It's a lack of what? Lack of knowledge. A lack of knowledge is what creates fear. Would you agree? Because let's think about this. As your knowledge base goes up, as you learn more about a subject, what happens to fear? It doesn't go away necessarily. Is a little bit of fear good? Yeah, even in business? Yeah. So, but as your knowledge goes up, your fear goes way down. Folks, I have literally asked this question to thousands and thousands of investors over my 15-year career. And it usually comes down to a variation of one or a couple of these answers in unison. Okay, we don't know how to do it. We don't have the knowledge base. We don't have the money or credit. We don't have the time. And the biggest one is fear. Well, if I could show you guys a legitimate solution, and I'm not talking a pie in the sky, I'm talking a legit solution to overcome these 4 obstacles and make those so that, you know what? They're no longer obstacles for you, but there's a system to overcome them. How many would be interested? I hope so, because that's what we're going to spend the rest of the night going over. Okay? We've got to get out of living life by default. We've got to let these, can I call them excuses? We've got to let these excuses, we've got to have them stop holding us back. Because the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Jonathan, you've got to do something different. And you're thinking, well, how on earth am I going to do something different? Where do I start? Where do I begin? How do I make time? I talked with a guy last week and he's like, Kendall, I don't have the time. I work my job. I've got my business. I've got all this and all this. And he kept telling me how he doesn't have time to learn how to do this. And what's at risk for him is over $1 million of equity in his homes and continuing to pay over 40% in taxation. And I'm saying, you don't have the time or you won't make the time. Because you know what? If I had to, I might have to see what 6 a.m. looks like. The only time I see what 6 a.m. looks like is when I'm getting up to go on a golf course or go on a bike ride. I don't do Disneyland at 6 a.m. That's insane. That's insane. I do wake up excited about Disneyland. How do you guys know I'm Disney fans? Can you tell? I got Walt and Mickey right there on the front. Walt Disney's pretty amazing. His story's amazing. You know, most people that have had tremendous success, what have they done first? They failed. Guess what I've done? I failed. I made it big, I lost it all. I made it big, I lost it all. Made it big. Folks, it's just part of the process. You know what the acronym for FAIL is? First attempt in learning. It's just your first attempt. So many times people quit at failure. Don't quit, just keep moving forward, okay? So we're gonna talk about these today. We're gonna show you how this works because the foundation of everything tonight is education. Okay, I'm gonna break this down for you and then we're gonna jump immediately into the presentation. So this is what I usually give to you guys at the property tour. So some of you, you're not quite sure what to think of this yet. But at the property tour, I introduce you to our educational services are broken down into two categories. The Keep It category is gonna show you how to do this, how to save money on taxes and save money on interest. You've got to start implementing this into your business or things are never going to change. You're going to stay living life by default. So we've got a series of courses that I'll introduce to you in a few minutes that show you how to keep your money. That costs $19.97. Then we show you how to grow your money. Growing your money is everything from single family homes to residential, fix and flip, commercial, multifamily, land development, short-term rentals, you name it, we got it covered, and I'll cover this in a few moments. And that one is $17,997. So I came all in at an investment just under $20,000. Let me put this into perspective. That was my annual income when I got started. I invested my annual income after spending 6 years in college. I spent 20 grand more to educate myself. Which one do you think has paid off the dividend? My 6 years of college, which was way more than 20 grand, or my lifetime investment into real estate education? Yeah, this one has yielded millions of dollars, multiple millions of dollars in profit. My zoology degree, I can't say that it's done anything yet. I know way too much about birds. Completely useless information. Okay, but here's the other thing. I know that you guys are like, Kendall, I want to get into real estate, but I got an immediate need. I've got to start solving my financial challenges that I have today. Yes? And real estate might be down the road. Well, what if I told you that we're also looking to do a market expansion team? We're growing our business. We're looking for people to help share this with other people. Bob Snyder, the founder of our company, he's a genius. He said, look, I understand that people that want to become investors, they need money now. Oftentimes they can't wait 30, 60, 90, 120 days or more. I mean, or more, because unless you already have a background in real estate, what's the chance that in the next 30 days you're cashing a fat check? Would you agree, slim to none?
Yes.
What's the reality that probably within the next 6 months, it's slim to none, unless you already have background in real estate? It took me 9 months to do my first deal. Now, I was slow. Other people have come in and done it in 3 months to 6 months. But when I got started, I didn't have 6 months to wait. I needed to make money now. So Bob Snyder said, why don't we create a system where we can pay our students to talk about us? When you share somebody with the opportunity to show them how to keep their money, he's going to cut you a check for $1,000. When you share the opportunity to grow your money, he's going to cut you a check for $9,000. And I'm like, wait a minute. That sounds too good to be. And I was conditioned just like you were. I was thinking, well, what's the catch? There is no catch. The catch is there's a one-time qualification, and I'll cover that a little bit later. I'll show you how it works. But in essence, the catch for me is I bought my own program, and I sold 2 more. After that, I was in a position where I could earn $1,000 to $10,000 every time I sold the program to someone. Now, let me ask you an honest question. How many of these would you have to do a month? At $10,000, how many would you have to do a month before you had a good month? How many would be one? Half of one. A fraction of one. How many are 2 or more? Okay, check it out, guys. One of our guys, I had him on my team call yesterday. His name's Nate Lambert. Last month, the month of August, you remember the one that just passed?
Yeah.
He helped 15 people get started in our education and was paid out $143,000 in the month of August. Wow. No kidding. How many would like a fraction of that? Okay, come on, guys. I don't care how you make money. I just want to help you make money. Tonight, we've got a solution for you. You show up with a problem. I want to get into real estate, but I don't have the money. Let me ask you, Bill. Would 143 grand help overcome the starting point of that? Anybody else? Yeah. See, I get it. You don't know what you don't know yet. But this is what we're going to talk about tonight. So if like we're in the first 30 minutes and you're going, what the heck did I show up to? They want 20 grand for what? Hang tight. I don't want you to nobody freak out about anything, because like Kim introduced you, when she introduced me, she introduced you to my favorite phrase. You don't have a money problem. You have an idea problem. And I want you to just sit on that. Don't worry about the money, because you don't want education. What do you want? It's the first thing I wrote on the board. What do you want? You want a result. You want a result in real estate. You want to put money in your pocket. Folks, let us work through the system. Let us show you how you can overcome that. Every single person in the room tonight can get started. And I'll show you how at the end of the presentation. Cool? Now, with that brief introduction, now my objective, Ken, we're going to go to the PowerPoint now. Now my objective is to spend the rest of the evening and prove to you why $20,000 is a drop in the bucket. And you're going, are you freaking kidding me? 20 grand is a lot of money. Who's with me on that? Come on, it's okay, be honest. It's true, right? How many of you drove here in a car that was worth more than 20 grand? Yeah. Was that a lot of money? Or did you finance it? Oh, isn't it funny how we can figure out a way when there's a need? And we can justify the crap out of it when it's a car. Well, I need a car to go to work. You need a $36,000 car to go to work? Well, but the payment is only, okay, there we go. Oh, and we start caring way too much about what other people think of what we drive. Does anybody get caught up in that? I used to. I don't anymore. I don't. I own all my cars. You know why? Because after I made all my money, guess what happened? I lost all my money. And I learned real quick that I was renting my vehicles from banks. And I learned real quick that when they come knocking on the door at 10:30 at night to repossess it, they don't care if you need time to go get your daughter's car seat out of the car. I learned from the school of hard knocks that I don't care what any of y'all think about what I drive. And that is so liberating. So many of you are stuck in worrying about what other people think about you. Let me let you in on a little secret. They don't think about you half as much as you think they do. Nice. So stop worrying about what other people think. Tonight is about you and your family and your reason why. I can share with you my reason why, if my computer will wake up. Hold on. That's my why. This is why I get up and go to work every single day. The good Lord has blessed me with 4 amazing daughters. This is my why. This is why I do what I do. She just gave me this look like, oh my gosh, 4? Yeah, I know. That's 4 weddings. And that's a lot of hormones. Right? Add on top my wife and my dog, which is also, my dog's also female. Guys, I swim in an estrogen ocean. And you know what? I freaking love it. I absolutely love it, because they're my reason why. They're why I do everything. They're the reason that I come out here when I don't need to be here, but I choose to be here to share with others and pay it forward so that you can get the same result that I've done. Because I want you to remember this as we go through this tonight, that what's said on the board, financial freedom, if we can do it, you can too. You're going to learn real quick tonight, there is nothing special about me. Nothing. I'm just a guy who had a dream and had a vision, and I work hard. I'm not afraid to fail. I'm not afraid to pick myself up by the bootstraps and say, come hell or high water, I'm going to figure this out. Does anybody in the room possess those same qualities? Well, then you're my people. If you don't, if you're thinking that we're going to do this for you, then there's the door. Because this is not a get-rich-quick scheme. But this is a get-rich-quicker. Given the alternative, what are you currently doing? It is a get-rich-quicker. Okay? Now, results aren't typical. We're going to go over a number of things. I got to do some disclosures tonight. Remember how I shared with you the marketing program that Bob Snyder pays us to talk about him? I'm an independent contractor with the company. When I enroll somebody into the business, he pays me an earnings, a referral fee. Is that fair? Yeah. You better believe it is, okay? But as we go through this, know that I'm going to do my very best to represent the company accurately. If I miss something, it's not intentionally, okay? I try to represent the company the very best that I can. You need to know that I'm not a licensed attorney. I'm not a CPA. I'm not a financial planner. The only license I have is a driver's license. And sometimes when I look down at my speedometer and I'm doing 120 miles an hour, I put that in jeopardy. Okay, it's like, you gotta slow things down a little bit. But it seems like everybody does 80, 90, 100 miles an hour down here, don't they? Yeah. I'm just moving with the flow of traffic. Okay. And then finally, as we go through this information, I'm gonna share with you some slides. The slides, please feel free. I know oftentimes you show up at presentations and they're like, don't take pictures of the slides. Have you been there, done that? My invitation is feel free to take pictures of the slides. But if you share it on social media, don't take credit for what's there. Okay, it's the intellectual property of Renatus. And with that, folks, let's jump right into it. Wanda, can you grab the microphone, please? Could you read what's on the screen for me, please?
Let a man radically alter his thoughts, and he will be astonished at the rapid transformation it will affect in the material conditions of his life.
Okay, so James Allen is a brilliant author. He wrote the book As a Man Thinketh. And he understood one thing that I had to figure out along the way. He understood that if you want significant change in your life, it all starts where? Everyone keeps doing this and this. It starts where? It starts in your thoughts. You see, it's amazing. Bill, may I grab your phone for a second? So iPhone, they just announced a new one yesterday, right? So, ooh, there's a new one. Now it's got like 17 cameras on it. Like, oh my gosh, it seems like all they update's the camera. But how many of us update the software on our phones or your computers? You guys do that? Why? It does it automatically. Why do we update it? To keep it working, because they're always coming out, thank you. They're always coming out with new programs, new software to keep it glitch free. We're constantly upgrading our technology to make sure that we are right on point. But when was the last time you upgraded the software? How often are you upgrading and putting good things into your mind that can create a result? James Allen says, let a man radically alter his what? His thoughts. And he'll be astonished at the at the rapid transformation it will affect in the material conditions of his life. Thoughts are things. If we want to become rich, we got to start thinking rich and then doing rich and just following a system of what rich people do. We can't have a fixed mindset. We've got to have a growth mindset. And if you come here tonight and say, I know everything, you can't help me, then you're right. You're absolutely right. Versus if you come and say, you know what, I don't know what I don't know, teach me. Introduce me to some new concepts, let me see what I can learn from you, then I can. But I can't help you if you don't let me help you. Do you get that? So I'm going to do my very best as I introduce to you the 5 pillars of wealth to try to introduce you to some things that you've never seen before. Oftentimes it's going to take multiple exposures. It's going to take coming back. It's going to take seeing what Kim's going over in the other room, right? But I want to go over this and I want to share with you as we go through these different pillars. The first pillar is education. Oh, did I introduce them? There we go. The foundation of it all is education, and it truly is. Okay, then we move into business, taxes, real estate, and banking. Well, as we go into education, I told you that the foundation of everything is education. And I love what Ben Franklin said about this. He says, an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. Do you notice it doesn't say an investment in college? Yet, what are we taught? And guys, I'm not dissing on college. I'm really not. My daughter it's kind of freaking me out. She's 16 years old, and she's doing concurrent enrollment classes in college right now. And what really bothers me is the young men at college. Like, don't you be inviting her to lunch. What's wrong with you? She's 16 years old. So I might have to show up on campus and say, anything you do to her, I do to you. Just so we're clear, all right? So an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. We got to upgrade our software. You see, so many of us, we come to college and we graduate college, we get our our diploma, and we hang it on the wall, and we say, I'm educated. And we stop learning. What was the last book you read? When did you read it? Are you guys putting good information into your mind? Are you listening to audiobooks? Are you trying to learn from others, or are you done? Like, check, got my college degree. I hope you're not done, because we've got so much we can learn. Now, let's go back to the whiteboard for a second, and let's look what Robert Kiyosaki says about this. Have you guys read any of his books, Kiyosaki? Yes. That's the first book that I ever read, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, that got me interested into real estate. And he wrote another book called The Cash Flow Quadrant. And he says there's typically 1 of 4 ways you can make money. Number 1, you can be an employee. I think we're all familiar with what that one is. You trade your time for dollars. And you're like, I'm sick and tired of that. I want to become what? What's the next step? Self-employed. And so now you don't have a job, you bought a job. And what happens if you don't show up to work? You don't get paid. And all of a sudden that gets really stressful and you're like, no, this isn't working so well. And you got to learn how to grow and expand and transition into a business owner. As a business owner, you can leverage other people, you can leverage their time, their energy, their resources to help you produce income. And then as we generate additional cash, and now as a business owner, can you leave the shop and still get paid? Or I use the word shop loosely, but can you leave your job and still get paid if you're running a successful business?
Yes.
Yeah. As you're generating additional cash flow, where can we put it? Into investments. And we go over here where now your money is out there constantly making money. Now I ask you a serious question. Which side of the quadrant? The left side or the right side? Which one has more fun? Who agrees it's the right side? How many know that this is the place where there's more fun, but how many of you are still stuck on the left side? Folks, tonight that's got to change. Because we're going to introduce you. When you leave here tonight, you're going to have new information. You're not going to be able to stay in the same spot. My goal is to introduce you to the systems to help you get over to the right side of the quadrant. Because as one who knows, it is way more fun. Way, 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 way more fun. Now, I don't have all the financial freedom in the world, but I have time flexibility. And what is the one thing we can never get back? But what can we always make more of? Money. We can always make more money. So I choose to spend my time with my wife and my kids. Now, I've still got to work, of course, right? Because I'm not financially free yet, but I'm on my way. I'm well on my way. But I've got flexibility. Where if everyone teases me about Disneyland, and there's a good reason. It's because I go to Disneyland usually once a week with my kids. How cool is that to go to Disneyland in the middle of the week when everybody else is at school and work?
Yes.
Come on, like I win in the dad category. My kids are convinced I'm the best dad ever. And we're not ever going to change that story, okay? It's awesome. All right, Ken, let's go back to PowerPoint. So the education is a huge part of it. Actually, that was the business component as well. Okay, learn how to become a business owner. Start transitioning from the left side of the quadrant over to the right side. Now let's talk about taxes. Taxes is your number one expense in life. More than food, clothing, shelter, entertainment combined is taxes. Isn't that insane? More than everything combined, you pay to the IRS first. And what's worse is we gave them permission. We filled out our, what's it called? The WD-40, and we'll go with that one. We fill out the WD-40, and we're saying, hey, you know, lube it up so it doesn't hurt so much as you pull the money out. It's crazy. They fleece us of all of our money. They fleece us of our money, and they're pulling all the money in taxes. Well, let's go back to the whiteboard, and let's look what happens here. You see, as a W-2 employee, as an employee, let's say that you're out there making $100,000 a year. Isn't that everyone's goal? Is to get to 6 figures? That was my goal when I started. I was a college student making 20 grand. Actually, it wasn't even 6 figures to begin with. I thought if I can make $65,000 a year, oh my gosh, that would be amazing. That would be over $5,000 a month. I was used to living on less than 2. So it was more than doubling my income. So I was stoked. And then I surpassed that. And I got into 6 figures. And I realized there is no fanfare. There's no celebration when you pass through 6 figures. And I felt totally gypped. I'm like, what? What's the motivation for keeping to move forward if nobody throws a party? Then I had my first 6-figure month. And my wife celebrated with me. That was fun. She's like, okay, now get back to work. That's cool. Let's go do it again. Okay? But as an employee, here's what happens. You go out there, you're making $100,000, and what's the first thing that comes out? Taxes. To the tune of what percent approximately? 30%? So they take $30,000 out, very first thing, which leaves you $70,000 left over. And then how much are your living expenses? 83.5. That's spoken from like there's an actual number there. Oftentimes, isn't it at least 70,000 or more is going to be your expenses, which leaves you how much? 0 or negative. Maybe you're living on credit cards. Leaves you in debt. Now you're paying all that interest to sustain your lifestyle. See how the system's broken? Yet what do? So many of us, we go out there and we find another job. We find another job to help remedy the problem. We go out and we're working more jobs. And the more we make, the more they take. Have you figured that out? And it's like this is where, when Kiyosaki calls it the rat race, you are just on that wheel, just running, chasing the cheese and never getting off. And finally, you come to a breaking point where you're like, I'm done. I can't handle this anymore. And you transition. You move from the left side of the quadrant over to the right. You say business owners have got to have something figured out. And we do. You understand that from a tax perspective, when we're thinking of taxes, as a business owner, let's say I'm making the same $100,000. And I'd like to get Lorinda the microphone if I could, because she's a business owner. Her and her husband have been running their own business here in the Inland Empire for 23 years. Now, Lorinda, you and Jamie have been running your shop. Is it legitimate? Can you actually, the concept I'm proposing here is that I'm going to take some of these expenses, some of these expenses here, and I'm going to transition these expenses into business expenses. Can I do that?
Yes, that's correct. The IRS does allow for a lot of things to be written off if you're a business.
Yes, as a business owner and a real estate investor, you know that I can write off nearly everything. Whereas an employee, I couldn't. What could I write off as an employee? I could write off my kids, okay, my home mortgage interest, charitable contributions, some health, there's limitations on that. But we're about done, and I've got like 5 things. Okay, now how about as an employee or as a business owner? What can I write off? Can I write off my car? Can I write off my phones?
Cell
My
phone,
computers?
computers.
Can I even find a legitimate way to write off my Disneyland ticket?
Yes. If you do
Not only do
business
I
on your
talk about
trip,
business, guess who my board of directors are? They're cute and they're blonde.
your daughters.
Guess who some of my best employees are? They're cute and they're blonde. It's a legitimate expense.
Yes.
It's part of our corporate retreat
Yes.
every week. Isn't that awesome? So I can convert $70,000 in this example to business expenses legitimately. And because I create jobs and I provide housing, does the IRS allow me to do it?
Yes.
The answer is yes. So that leaves me $30,000 adjusted gross income. Now let's keep all things the same. Let's tax it at the same rate. Let's take a third out, $10,000. I mean, is that still better? Who would rather pay 10 versus 30? And that just put $20,000 back into your pocket. $20,000 that you save. What does Ben Franklin say? A penny saved is a penny. What's $20,000 saved? It's better than $20,000 earned. Do you know why? Because it wasn't taxed. Folks, it's the same income. You're on the same wheel. You're still in the rat race, but you learn to do your taxes differently. I cannot emphasize this enough. This is huge. This is a game changer. Over the course of my career, I've saved millions, well, not millions yet, but well over $1 million in tax savings because I'm a business owner and investor. Let that sink in for a moment. That's over $1 million that I didn't have to give to the IRS. Who wants that? Well, we all want it, but are we willing to do what it takes to get there? That's the rub. Well, of course I want it, but I also want to watch Netflix. And I also want to do other things that waste my time. I don't want to take time to learn how to do that. And so we never put forth the effort. Okay? But you've got to. Times have got to change. Taxes is absolutely killing you. One of the things that I like to talk about is think of it this way. If I ask you to think of a checkerboard, how many of you see a checkerboard in your head? Lots of squares, little boxes, alternating colors. Yes? Now think of a chessboard. Is it the same board? Okay, same board, different game. Think about that like our taxes. As an employee, what game are we playing in the tax world? Chess or checkers? We're only jumping over whatever they tell us we can jump over. We're not using strategy. We're not using the queen to go anywhere we want. We're not using the rook, the knight, the bishop. We're just doing whatever jump we're told we can jump over. And we never seek out professionals. You realize that most professionals aren't? Most professionals aren't. I spoke with someone the other day. Oh my gosh. He set up his company when he was 23 years old. Okay? 23 years old, now he's 38. He started off his first year at 23. He did well over 100 grand. Pretty good, yeah? Now he's pulling in over 400 or 500 grand a year. He's never adjusted his strategy. Do you think a $100,000 business has a different tax liability and structure than a $500,000 business? Yet he's never gone back to his professional. I said, why not? And he's like, well, because I've been with him for 15 years. Like, who cares? Is he advising you to set things up? Well, no. I just bring him my receipts, and he's kind of doing, it's what we call the Bible in a box. Here's my box of receipts, and here's my Bible. Let's pray that you figure out how to save me money. Not a very good strategy. It's not a good tax strategy, but that's how people do it. We got to start being strategic in our taxes. Start playing chess with the world of taxes. All right, Ken, let's go back to the PowerPoint for a moment. We're only going to be here briefly, but now we're going to talk about real estate. Okay, when we're talking about real estate, I know, excuse me, I know this is what you guys came down for. Ken, I totally forgot to prep you up for this, but are we queued on my video? Okay, you'll get my video queued up as I do a couple of these, yeah? Yeah, you'll hope. I hope so too, because it's pretty amazing. Well, this is the results you're looking for. Now, I asked earlier, where were my real estate agents and brokers? And in the back of the room, sweet little Jackie raised her hand. Now, Jackie's been a broker for quite some time now. Jackie came down, and this is the result that she was able to create. Now, I want to hear her story, but I want to put it into perspective for you guys that she was already a successful broker before she ever came down to see us. Why does a broker need more education? I mean, think about that. She's a broker. She should know this stuff, right? No. Put your hands together. Bring to the front of the room Jacqueline Bonaparte. Grab the microphone right there, Jackie. I'm sorry. Pretty cool story. Tell us what you did on this deal here, Jacqueline, would you please? Because I see the result. You created a $45,000 profit. Who's okay with that? Woo! All right, Jackie, tell us your story.
Well, basically, yes, I am a mortgage broker, real estate broker / mortgage broker. I've been licensed since 2001. I was doing good where I would wake up in the morning and money was just calling me on the phone to do mortgage loans all day. And then 2008 came and the market crashed. And guess what? My business crashed right along with it. And the sad part, I lost my home. I had a rental property in Paris, lost that. And I just realized, you know, I need to learn something more than what I know. So that's when I started getting involved in seeking for real estate investing. I went to several different guru companies that just would take my money. And when I need help, I call an 800 number and I'm getting somebody on the phone that's just taking a call that's looking through a book to find the answer. Can't handle that, okay? So I came down here and met up, loved the organization, loved the group. If I had questions, I get out of our board. I don't know which section you're in, but our board is right across the street from here. Actually, I'm pointing that way. It's that way.
That's all right. You don't need to know directions to do real estate.
And when I would get out of my meetings, I would come over here and say, Darren Kendall, I have a question. And they'd be in their office doing whatever work, and they would close their laptops and go, okay, what's going on? And I loved it. So long story short, with this property, I was in church being a greeter, and somebody came over and asked me if I was still doing that real estate investing thing. I said yes. And basically they needed to sell the house because they're buying a new house because he just got married. His other wife formerly passed away and all her memories were in the house, and he didn't want to move his new wife into the house with the other wife's memories. And he needed to sell it for $200,000 is what he owed on his mortgage. He wanted $50,000. So I told him, let me work it out and see what I could do. Met up with Kendall one day at an event in San Diego County at a Real Deal tour, and told Kendall that I have this property that I want to get. I need at least $300,000 to buy it to, you know, do everything I need to do and net the profit. And he says, I can help you with that. And I said, cool, but just so you know, I'm not giving it to you, because that's one thing I used to do all the time, find the properties and give it to the investors. I'm like, this time I want to do it myself. He says, okay, I can help you with that. So he helped me find the money, got the deal done, And that 45,000 was in it for 3 months. And those darling daughters that he was talking about, 2 of them helped me in the house by taking all these backlashes off. And the baby girl, who was, I think, 11,
Yeah.
she took all of these off the walls. And then I had another 13-year-old that pulled the carpet up throughout the entire house. It was amazing
Hey,
to
I told you
watch.
they're on payroll.
And it's
That's
true.
not just a phrase. They got to
Yep.
work for it.
Yeah. And they did a very good job, because I almost messed up, because his youngest one was going in to take one of these out of the wall, and it was a leak where the refrigerator was. And I said, oh, no, don't worry about that one. I'll get that. So I had one of those bzzz, you know, whatever you call them, because I'm a girl. And instead of me sticking it in the right place, I stuck it in the middle. Where, thank God, the electrician, Mr. Chris, was there, and he yells, Kendall, come look what Jacqueline's doing. She's about to electrocute herself. Fortunately, I don't think the electric was on that side, and I stopped, and it worked out. So anyway, long story short, if I could do it, you can too. And use the community, because I just cheated off his papers. I did not hire my brothers or my best friends' husbands to come in and, you know, do all the work. Nope. I cheated off his papers. He got all the contractors' numbers, called them myself, made friends with them, dropped his name so they know they couldn't screw me, because then I would kill him. But got it
She's from
done.
Philly. Don't mess with
That's
her.
right. That's right. But got it all done. And now I have my own LLC, because he was also kind enough to let me use his LLC. Who does that? Okay. He wasn't an 800 number. So my point is, pay attention. I came all in when I got the education.
High five, Jackie. Give it up for Jacqueline. Thank you. A quick $45,000 in about 4 months. Who would be down with that? And let me ask you guys, how many of those would you have to do over the course of a year before you could quit your job, if that was your goal? I'm not advocating that everybody should go out and quit their job. That's not what I'm saying. But I know many of you want to do that. How many of those would you have to do before you could? 1, 2. That's where I was, folks. When I got started, I was making 20 grand a year. I'm like, if I do one house, I'm set for years. I can live for 2 years. But my goals were a little bit bigger than that, okay? Let's go back to the PowerPoint real quick if you can. I'm going to come to that video in just a second, Ken. He'll be ready. I want to go through a few more. This is another situation. I love what Jacqueline said. She said, you know what? I cheated off his paper, which is what I invite you to do. In college, when you cheat off my paper, well, don't cheat off my paper in college. I didn't get into school. But if you cheat off somebody's paper in college, what happens? You get kicked out. Here, we invite you to cheat off our paper. Because what I know is if you're cheating off my paper, you're in the class. You're in the room with me. And I'm more than willing to say down, here you go, Bill. Here's the answers. But you got to take the information. You got to learn. Like, I can't do it for you. I can't do it for Jacqueline. And I didn't do it for Jacqueline. I was just there to oversee and overshadow. I did leave her. I had a business retreat, a business meeting. It was Hawaii. You know, we had to go visit our corporate rental in Hawaii to make sure that it was still standing. But folks, it works. In real estate, we get paid to solve problems. Here's another example. Crystal, another member of our community, she did this deal. She found a homeowner that was going into foreclosure. They had a situation. She was able to stop it. She was able to step in and buy this home. Okay, the value of the home at the time of purchase was $308,000. She got it under contract for $40. $40, and they transferred her the contract. Now, in real estate, if I own the contract to a property, do I have legal claim to the property? Yes. She took over their payments subject to the existing financing. Have you heard about buying houses with no money or no credit? That's how you buy it with no credit. You step in, take over somebody's payments. Then they put $20,000 in. The $20,000 was to help bring it current and do some renovations. Now they've turned it into an Airbnb. She cash flows $1,000 a month. Stephen turned this property in San Diego into an Airbnb. His value, he bought it at $775. It's now worth $1.25. $1.25, and he rents out. There's 2 properties. He rents out the front unit. It's a mile from the beach in Oceanside. He rents out the front unit, lives in the granny flat in the back with his wife and their dogs, and they get enough cash flow to pay all of their expenses. It's like $5,000 plus to run this unit. Okay, they get over $6,500 a month in revenue. So he's getting paid $1,500 to live a mile from the beach. And I'm like, what the heck are we doing in Temecula? It gets hot here during the day. Jackie? Oh, back to Crystal. She says, Crystal's 26 years old. Yeah, that'll piss you off a little bit. But it shouldn't, because I got started at 26. But the next section, when I tell you what she's doing with all of her cash flow and how that 26-year-old who bought her house 3 years ago, she bought a house 3 years ago for $300,000. She'll have it paid off in 2.5 years. Who wants to learn how to do that? Guess what they're talking about in the other room? It's exactly what they're talking about. Here's another example. Another investor went down, made $31,000. Folks, I don't even need to go into all the stories of this. I mean, does it work? People ask me all the time, does it work? That's the wrong freaking question. The system works, yes. What I don't know is, do you work? I don't know if you work, but the system works. If you plug in and follow the system, it works. Now, I want to share with you, I would love to be able to bring all the testimonials up from the room, but I found another way to get a lot of information very, very quickly. We were at a national convention back in March, and they paraded across the front of the room. They said, folks, here's the conditions. You can come to the front of the room only if, these are the requirements to walk across stage. You have to have made over $100,000 in real estate to be able to walk across the stage. We were there for an hour and a half, watching people walk across the stage with the success they've had from following the system. We're not going to watch it for an hour and a half. In fact, what I did is I took that video clip and I edited it down, and I got rid of all of the nonsense jibber jabber talk back and forth, and I just went from result to result to result to result. We're going to watch that for just a couple of minutes. We'll probably get through about 25 or 30 people just like you and I, and the only difference is they came in, they got started with the system, and took action. Ken, let's go ahead and roll the footage.
We want to help the world understand the significance that our educational services offer to those who get involved, embrace it, and then go out and take action on it. So, let's get things started. Scott and Nancy Rowe, come on up here.
Scott and Nancy Rowe, Chicago, Illinois, 7 years in Renatus, 103 doors.
Mitch Nelson, Salt Lake City, 4 years in Renatus, 67 doors.
Excellent.
Steve Howard, Chicago, Illinois, 39 deals, 21 doors.
Lisa Lease.
James Lease.
Sacramento, California.
7 years.
15 deals.
Gary and Sylvia Lawrence from Scottsdale, Arizona, 7 years and 14 deals.
John O'Neill, Salt Lake City, Utah, 22 deals and 8 doors.
Hugh Zaretsky, New York City, 7+ years, 250 doors.
Michael Maness Huggins from Salt Lake City, Utah. We've been in Renatus 7 years, and we've done 12 deals and have 2 doors.
Hi, Bob Tierney, Chicago. We have over 100 deals done and over 100 doors.
Richard Stock, Salt Lake City, 7 years, 18 doors.
Eric Counts, Arkansas. 6 single-family homes, 3 of which using the strategies are fully paid off in 2 years.
Karen Wetzel.
Loretta Wetzel from Chicago, Illinois. 7 years, 10 deals, 1 door.
It's Stu and Tanya Rosenberg.
Salt Lake City.
Draper, Utah. We've done 11 deals. We have 5 doors and a portfolio of over 100 properties.
Tony Miller, AKA King Combo. Over 100 deals altogether. 1 year with Renatus, and right now about 7 doors.
Nice job. Nate Lambert, Salt Lake City, Utah. I've done 45 deals and 30 doors.
Tim Freeland, Salt Lake City, Utah. I have 8 doors, 9 doors now. I just closed last week.
Nice job.
And over 30 deals.
Dave Deal, Oakley, Utah, 7 deals. I've been with Renatus for 2.5 years, and I've got 2 doors.
Stephen Tammy Nordforce, West Bountiful, Utah.
13 deals and 3 doors. We've been with Renatus for 6 years.
Hi, my name is Steve Nomura from Chicago. I have done over 100, I would wear the 7 years. I have done over 170 deals. I have 57 doors.
Chris McIntosh, Spokane, Washington. I currently have 38 doors. I've done over 100 deals and working on a 5.
You just saw Steve Nomura? You see, so many of us, we come to this opportunity and we're like, yeah, but you don't know my story. And we have a big yeah, but excuse of why we don't deserve this. Or I do deserve it, but here's all the reasons why I can't afford to get started. I get it. Some of them are valid. Most of them are excuses. And we like to have a crutch. We like having something to fall back on to create our excuse of why we are where we are. Steve Nomura, when he came down, he moved here from Japan. When he got started with us, he didn't speak English. And we don't have the classes translated into Japanese. He sat there and would watch the classes with a Japanese to English dictionary. And that's how he learned the system. Now, if we went back, he'd say, my name is Steve Nomura from Chicago, Illinois. He's been with us 7 years. Did you hear how many deals he's done? Over 100. Yeah, let's play it again. Yeah, let's go again. And then we'll stop after Steve for the sake of time.
And over 30 deals.
Dave Deal, Oakley, Utah. 7 deals. I've been with Renatus for 2.5 years. I've got 2
these
doors.
guys again. That's okay.
Steve and Tammy Nordforce, West Bountiful, Utah.
2.5 years, and I've got 2 doors.
That's all right. Just let it play.
Years.
Hi, my name is Steve Nomura from Chicago. I have done over 100, I would wear the 7 years. I have done over 170 deals. I have 57 doors.
Chris McIntosh,
Okay,
Spokane.
he's done over what? And he has how many rentals? And the dude didn't speak English. Question. What's a deal and what's a door? Thank you. I should have said that. I usually preface that. So when we're talking deals, it's like what we just looked at was a deal. I got in and out. It was a fix and flip, something like that. A door is a rental property. So that means that Steve has bought and sold over 170 properties, and he still owns and controls how many? 70. Folks, that was last March. He's now over 200 and nearly at 100 rentals. It's amazing. It's so cool to have watched that guy's journey. You know, when he first started out, everybody thought he was crazy. They're like, dude, go get a job. What are you doing? Real estate? You don't even speak the language. Steve didn't care. It wasn't about language. It was about a dream and a vision. One of the coolest things for me to watch Steve was what he was able to accomplish because of all of this. All the people that were telling him, hey, go get a job. This isn't going to work for you. Some of that, many cases, was his family. But just a couple of months ago, we had a national leaders retreat down in Panama City, Panama. He took his wife, he took his kids, and the whole family was down there celebrating the success together. Because he said, you know what? We're going to make this work no matter what. And that's the drive. I encourage you guys. I mean, Steve is one of thousands of stories. But what's your story? What are you going to create? And most importantly, who is the author of your story? Who's the author of your story? You are. Whether you can or you can't, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. That's what Henry Ford said. My mission is to help you believe that you can. Now, I can't do it for you, and frankly, I won't do it for you. I got enough of my own work to do. I can't do your work too. But what I can do is plug you into a system, plug you into our community, plug you into our family. Jacqueline mentioned how we're different. We're not a boot camp company. We're not a seminar company. It's not like I flew in here tonight to sell you guys education and then I'm off to LA tomorrow. Like, welcome to our office. I live 2 miles that way. I live here. I work here. We're growing and expanding and we're looking for sharp people. If that's you, welcome to the team. If that's not, it's 100% okay. Do something, because something brought you down here tonight. All right, Ken, let's go back to the PowerPoint real quick. Okay, so now we finally get into banking and then back to education. Now, banking, I don't have all the time to go into this tonight, and frankly, I'm not even going to hardly hit it at all, other than to talk about, let's think about your mortgage, okay? Because your mortgage is the biggest offender, and I'm going to give this to Lorinda again, because she's got a fantastic story. Lorinda, when you came down, I remember you came to a property tour, and then you and your daughter came, and you sat right here, and you viewed this information. And then you sat through the velocity banking conversation, which Kim's doing in the other room. And I remember she was sitting over here, and she's just lighting up like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Because she's a business owner. Her and her husband had already done real estate. They already owned, I think it was 7 houses at that time or something like that. They already had a 7-figure net worth in real estate. I'm like, why would you be down here? I mean, it always puzzles me. But she says, I don't know what I don't know. And she says, I've been lucky to luck into what I've got. Well, one of the strategies that we're going to show you, we're going to teach you, is how to use the bank's money to pay the bank. Now think about that. Right now, you guys are paying the bank. Let's think about the typical mortgage. Ken, let's go to the PowerPoint real quick. Lorinda, hang tight. I'm going to come to you. Oh, yeah. Remember this, guys? Remember how I said, does it work? It'll come up in just a second. Maybe it's there. Well, yeah, that's what I meant. I need you to keep up with my speed of thought here, Ken. That's like chasing squirrels, man. You never know what this guy's thinking. He'll get it, I promise. But I said, does it work? We saw a whole bunch of testimonials. Now, this is what you see where I say it's the wrong question. Because it's not, does it work? It's what? Does I work? Will I work? Every single one of you, here's the challenge with most of us, or with all of us. Every single one of you want to earn money. Yes? You want to earn money in real estate, you want to earn money however. But only a few of you are willing to learn before you earn. That's just the reality of it. It's the 80-20 rule. I get it. It doesn't offend me. It doesn't mean anything. It's just most of you aren't going to do what it takes to get there. That's just human nature. Now, I'm not going to say that's human nature of this group because you all showed up here. But there's a whole bunch of people that were invited down, and guess what? They didn't show up. They found another priority than figuring out how to change their life. They didn't realize that they are the author of their life. So I invite you all to earn, but first you must learn. First you learn, then you drop the L. Then you earn. Okay? Well, let's talk about mortgages for a second because this is what Kim's doing in the other room. Let's just take some simple numbers of a very simple mortgage. A $200,000 mortgage at 6% is going to have a payment of $1,200, $1,200.39. Now, let's do some quick math. Everyone pull out your calculators. This is what Kim's going over in the other room. Let's say that you're making this payment for just, you're only making this payment for almost 4 years. I want you to multiply that times 46. These numbers aren't arbitrary. I'm not making this up. This is going to reduce the principal. Your loan balance is going to be reduced. If you make this payment right here, let me move this out of the way just a little bit. If you make this payment for 46 months, it's going to reduce your principal balance by $10,000, leaving you a balance of $190,000. So my question to you is, how much have you paid to reduce your balance $10,000? Who did the math? $1,200.39 by 46. What's the number? $55,217.94. That's what you made in payments. How much did your loan go down? Who wants to puke right now? Yet you didn't care because they financed you and they gave you the loan. And just like your car, it's all about the monthly. We don't even take into consideration how much we're actually paying. Do you realize that to borrow this $200,000 over 30 years, you're going to pay back in interest $232,000 in interest on top of the $200,000? Your total payback is going to be $432,000. I'm not a mathematician. I'm a zoologist. My heavens. How is that 6%? Am I just dumb, or is this like the Common Core math? I don't get it. Folks, this is the introduction to what we're going to be talking about the other night in the other room. You don't know what you don't know. Kim is going in there and she's showing you how to use the bank's money to pay the bank. And in the example I use, how many of you would borrow money at 21% to pay off a 6% loan? Bill, would you do that? No? What was your name again? Michelle? Michelle, does that make sense? It doesn't. Like, I'm a zoologist, but I'm not stupid, right? Well, maybe I am. But it doesn't make sense. You're paying 15% more in interest. But it actually does make sense. Because, folks, you're comparing apples to apples, and they're not. Those numbers are not the same. 6% amortized debt is not the same as 21% simple interest. Kim is showing you in the other room how to use the bank's money to pay the bank. Well, Lorinda came down. She got started with us. She went all in on her education. In your first month, you and your husband implemented this strategy into your own household, yeah?
Yes, I did.
And what happened? I mean, because literally in the other room, what we typically do is we show you how to take this, and instead of paying this down in 30 years, we usually get you down to where you can pay off your house in anywhere from 7 to 10 years, saving you well over $100,000 in interest. And people always say, well, if you could do that, everyone would do it. Right. Because we all do everything that we know, right? Like, I know the secret to health: diet and exercise. Am I the epitome of health? What do you mean? Why are you shaking your head? What's up? He's like, mm-mm. No, I'm not. Hey, Jonathan, I hope you have to get up at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. Man. Okay, just because I know the secret is diet and exercise, do I do it? You could even know the secret of how to use the bank's money to pay the bank, but would that mean you do it? No, because we're creatures of habit. Lorinda said, enough's enough. I'm not going to do that anymore. And in your first month, share with us your experience, Lorinda. Actually, come on up to the front of the room, would you please? Give her a round of applause. Because this is an amazing story. She came down. She's like, you know what? I'm doing this. I'm going to bring my husband down. They came down. And where did you guys get started on your education?
Yes, so I did get started all in.
So you bought everything, 20 grand.
Bought everything, 20,000. Yes, my first time I came down, I actually saw what a benefit this opportunity was, and the education is what I was looking for. I did own rentals already. I am a real estate agent, so I had done that, but I wasn't where I wanted to be. So I was looking for more education, and this group has given me that and more. So the community, the knowledge from other people to be able to share things is just amazing. So in our first 30 days, we were able to use the techniques that Renatus has taught us and save $38,000 on one of our rental properties. It's amazing.
Pause, rewind. Did you guys do that?
It's amazing.
In the first month, you saved how much?
$38,000.
Let me ask the group here, the congregation. Did that pay back her congregation? We're in church now. Welcome to church. All right? And soon we're going to have the benediction. All right? So just hang with me. Let's ask the congregation. Amen. Hallelujah. That's
yes.
right. So
yes.
Let's ask the group. She paid $20,000 for education. The first month she saved $38,000. Did it cost her anything?
No.
I want you to write this phrase down. Grab a pen, grab a phone, grab something, because this will rock your world. If it makes you money, it costs you nothing.
Yes.
That is a philosophy that is so foreign to us,
yes.
because we have been taught by Dave Ramsey and Susie Orm and whoever the heck else is teaching you. What's her name? Susie Orm. Whatever. I don't know her name. But if it makes you money, it costs you nothing. We've been taught to look at everything from a cost analysis. Well, how much is it going to cost me? Nothing. How many of you think you can do one deal and get your money back? Okay, how long is it going to take? You realize that timeline's up to you, yes?
Yes.
But in the first month, they saved $38,000. Okay, please continue.
It was amazing. No,
yes, it is.
It is amazing, and it took 7 years off of that one rental mortgage for us. So we'll be paying these properties down much quicker now. And there's so much more to it. I'm learning things every single day. We have 9 doors, and our goal is to get those paid off within 5 years so that all that is positive cash flow. So, and it's possible, it works. It's just amazing what I didn't know about how mortgage interest amortization schedules work and loans and lines of credit. And there's just so much. I learned something every day. It's amazing. I love this community.
Awesome. Give it up for Lorinda. Thank you, Lorinda. So all this talk of education, I told you the foundation of tonight, the foundation of everything is what? All right, so let's get into education. That's the final topic for tonight. Now, by the way, this subject of banking, I don't have time to get into it tonight. We've still got a lot of material to cover. I don't have time to get into it tonight. What I encourage you to do is in the back of the room, Mark, wave your hand. Mark's going to have a sign-up sheet. I invite you back to come back next week, and you don't have to sit in here and put up with my nonsense next week. Next week, you get to go with Mama Kim. She's way more calm. She's way more calm, cool, collected, like she's educated. You'll feel right at home, okay? And she's going to go over this philosophy with you. She's going to share with you the concept of using the bank's money to pay the bank. For those of you who have seen the workshop, should they miss it? Guys, you do not know what you do not know. Come and learn. We can get your house, in most cases, down to 7 to 10 years. Now let's go to the final component, which is education. Now we told you guys, I told you in the very intro, I said, look, it's about keeping money. It's about keeping your wealth and then growing your wealth, okay? And all that is accomplished through these courses that we offer. Now the unique difference with Renatus is that our instructors are investor instructors. They're practitioners. If they're going to instruct on this topic, that means they're doing it. Not something that they've done, but something that they're doing. How many of you might be interested in wholesaling? Have you heard that's a good strategy to start in real estate? See the dude in the cowboy hat? His business did over $400 million last year. You want to learn wholesaling from him? You want to learn wholesaling from him or from me? I've wholesaled 4 deals in 15 years. Who do you want to learn from? Chris Wilson. Okay, well, maybe we're going back to our original challenge of I don't have the money, I don't have the credit. All right, see the dude right next to him, right in the middle, Chris Albin? Chris Albin was a school teacher in the Midwest. They pay big bucks, right? I mean, here in California, they get paid more than most states. But in the Midwest, do you think a school teacher's banking, rolling it in? On a school teacher's salary, Chris Albin bought over 300 houses. How do you even buy 300 houses? Where are my lenders? Will a bank lend on 300 houses? Not on your life. They won't. So how do you do that? It's in the system. Chris Albin's going to teach you. Okay? See the guy down here in the bottom corner, Darren Davis? Darren Davis is a local boy. He lives right here in Murrieta. He's going to teach you all about market analysis and how to run the numbers, because in real estate, you make your money when you buy, you get paid when you sell. So we're going to show you from the very beginning how to analyze and figure out if it's going to be profitable or not. Okay? The tax savings, everything that we go into, folks, we got it covered here. We've got it covered, everything from soup to nuts in what we got going on. The Essentials program, this is what I told you, was 1997. Then we jump into the Accelerated Investor Training. The Accelerated Investor Training is when we get into all of the other classes. I'm showing a little, and these words are small. They're hard to see on the board. But we cover everything. I want you guys to shout out, what do you want to learn in real estate? What kind of strategy do you want to learn? Foreclosures, covered. What else? Vacation rentals, VRBOs, Airbnb, short-term rentals, done. What else? Buy and hold, yes. Notes, fix and flip, yes. Commercial property, land development, yes, yes. What? Land development, yes. Hey, there's the man we were just talking about. See the dude I was talking about, the local boy, Darren Davis? Hey, we start at 7, man. What are you doing showing up late? Okay, he sent me a text and said, I'm sorry, I'm going to be late. But you know what? We cover it. We cover it. And people are like, oh, how do you deliver your education? How is it delivered? Well, I could tell you or I can show you. Which would you prefer? Let's show you. We're going to do a live demonstration. We're going to log into one of the classes. When you get access to your courses, you log in. You have access to a portal. Now, I want you to think of it like Netflix from the sense of you got 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week access. And that's the only similarity, is that you can access it whenever, wherever. But think of it this way. This is the starting point. This is where you plug in to get educated. Then you do what the instructor tells you. I always tell people, be dumb enough to listen. Be dumb enough to listen and smart enough to follow through. Because, Lorinda, isn't it easy to say, well, I already know this stuff? It could have been easy, yeah? But with all respect, Lorinda was dumb enough to listen as an already seven-figure net worth real estate investor. She was dumb enough to listen, as was William. William was in the same boat. Dumb enough to listen, and then smart enough to follow through. Folks, available 24/7. Ken's going to throw you a couple clips here. Go ahead, Ken.
All right, now here's a topic for everybody. Okay, this is good. All of you are going to walk away with a sweet strategy tonight on this. So this is, okay, so number one change in the new tax code, this is an update to the class, was the 20%. The next one is auto deductions. Did you know, like, you know how the Chinese have their year of the monkey or whatever? I think this year's the year of the monkey, Chinese, right? What is it this year? It's the year of the pig. Thank you, sorry. I thought I looked it up and was right. It's the year of the pig. Guess what? This is, in the United States, this is the year of the auto. I think Congress screwed this up. They did not know how good this was going to be. This is huge. This is the best auto deduction for business owners in 30 years. And you guys are getting it right here. This is sweet. Okay, so let me, this is a slide. Depreciation limits increased. Bonus, okay, now here's how it works. Now, many of you have seen this slide before. You have two ways to write off your auto: mileage or actual. Now, mileage went up from 54 cents to 58 cents, the biggest increase in 10 years too, in one given year. This is great. So you can still do business miles. You drive 10,000 miles, you get a $5,800 write-off. What? You drive 20,000 miles for business, that's a $10,600 write-off. That's a big deal. So we love this. Now, 11,600, sorry. Now, this thing, medical, moving, charitable, that's okay, but remember, moving's not a write-off anymore unless you're in the military. And so charitable, whatever. I mean, so again, we don't care about this. It's business, where's the money's at. Now, before, 90% of my clients would do mileage. And we would only do actual if you had an SUV or a truck. But now it just got better. Okay, so the old rule was, and this is the best way to explain it, back in 1972, when you might drive a Gremlin, that was the car, Winona Ryder and Stranger Things, that was her, her ride. Okay, so luxury vehicles were anything over $15,800. Seriously, in the early 70s. If you had a car over $15,800, it was a luxury vehicle. And there was all these rules of how you could write it off. And so we just go do mileage. It was better. Just do mileage. It was a joke. So last year, if I would have bought a $40,000 car in 2017, before this law, if I bought a $40,000 car and drove it 100% for business, my maximum depreciation for the first 5 years would be $15,060. It would take me 19 years to write this car off. That was the old rule in 2017. It was stupid. That's why we did mileage. Under the new law, luxury autos are anything over $50,000. And if you go buy a new or used, oh my gosh, you get so good. New or used car, you get an $8,000 bonus write-off. Oh my gosh. Now you can depreciate the whole thing off in 6 years. 75% of it in the first 3.
How many of you have ever enjoyed learning about tax savings?
If I go out and buy a $58,000 car.
Ken, we'll go ahead and pause it there. I mean, can you tell that Mark Kohler is a little bit of fun? This guy is brilliant. He's a real estate attorney and he's a CPA all in one brain. Why is that important? Think about it. You go to your CPA, you go to your financial planner, and they're going to put you in some sort of a structure to help you, either asset protection or something, yeah? And they might get you into asset protection, and it might work. I mean, an LLC, an S Corp, a C Corp, an LP, which one of those provides the greatest asset protection? LLC, S Corp, I don't know. Depends on the person. They're all the same. They all provide the same asset protection. Where they differ dramatically is the tax benefits. If you go to somebody that doesn't know that, might you get into something that protects your assets and then screws you on taxes? And most people do. Because do the CPA and does the attorney, do they usually talk to each other? No. So why not learn how to go out there and implement everything, put it all in one place? That's what Mark Kohler does for you. This class alone, I love his class. His class is one of my favorites. Taught me how to save so much money on taxes. One of our students today says she's leading up a meeting just like this over in Orange County tonight. And she watched 45 minutes of a class like that. She amended her taxes and got back $8,400. Isn't that amazing? 45 minutes, $8,400. Now, I'm not saying you can do the same thing, but what if you could? What if you could go back to your professional and say, hey, are we doing this? This? And that's what I say. Most professionals aren't. You start getting to the point that you realize that they're not doing their job. Okay? So, Ken, we are back to the PowerPoint, aren't we? We are. Hey, let's go back to the PowerPoint, shall we, Ken? Thanks. He's keeping up with the speed of thought now. So right here, we got over 300 hours of training. Folks, this is not meant to overwhelm you. You can take it bite-sized pieces. That section we watched, like every class is broken down into segments. And you just get through it as you can. I know you don't have time. I get it. When you don't have the time, what do you have to do? Make the time. Because how many of us in the room have 24 hours in a day? We all have the same time, don't we? Yet why do we all produce such different results? It's all about where you put your time. It's all about priorities. Okay? It's all about priorities. Where are we going to prioritize our time? Don't tell me you can't do this, because I've met and will introduce you to hundreds of people way dumber than you. I mean that with all, and one of them's raising his hand right. Oh, is that what you're saying? Darren's like, let me introduce myself. No, the man's brilliant. He's one of our instructors. But he wasn't when he started. He started off just like everybody else. Came down to the presentation, learned, and then I remember watching him when he was brand new in this business. He would sit down at a desk in front of his computer and run numbers all day, every day. I'm like, are you ever going to buy a freaking house? Or are you just going to run numbers? He's just running numbers, running numbers, running numbers. Can you tell which one of us hates running numbers? I got bored so fast watching him run numbers. I'm like, I'm going to go do something fun. You just keep running numbers. Well, that discipline, that dedication to learning this craft has now enabled him to do hundreds of houses, make millions of dollars. But in the beginning, he was just running numbers. Lorinda?
Yeah, I just want to say too that the classes are really easy to understand. And one of the things I really like is you can just replay it. Like just replay it again, guys, and you'll get it just like that. That's how I was able to use that in 30 days. I replayed it a couple of times because it's awesome. Yeah.
What's the mother of all learning? Repetition.
Yeah.
So you can go in there and you can watch the classes over and over and over. So guys, I already showed you this to begin with, right? I showed you how you can get started. You can get started at the Essentials package, which some of you will do. You'll just get started at the Essentials. That's perfect. Get in where you fit in. I don't care. The Essentials package, that's the Keep Your Money. It's 10 different classes. By the way, you get 10 classes, lifetime access, and you get a weekly mastermind every single week with one of our coaches for $2,000. Are you kidding me? I know, right? What? Question in the back? Go ahead and push the button on the mic, please.
Thanks. Hi. I was wondering if you did the 1997 or whatever it is for that now, and then you wanted to go all in. Could you take that off the all in?
Yeah, you do.
Okay.
You just upgrade. So
it's not
thanks,
extra.
great question. Okay, so she says, okay, so what if I get started at the Essentials? So see the orange tab, you get started at the Essential, $2,000. Okay, cool. Finance that on a credit card, it's $25 a month. Then we go over and then we get into the Accelerated. In the Accelerated, you got two options. You've got the Advanced, which is $59.97, and you've got the Extreme, which is $17.97. So you can come in one of three ways in reality. You can get started with the Essentials alone, an Advanced combo, which is the Essentials and the Advanced, or the Extreme combo. And that's where I came in. I came in and bought the Extreme combo. I wanted access to everything. It's lifetime access, complimentary lifetime access. It's available for you and another person. And so really, it's not a function of, does it work? Folks, we could continue to play the video, and we could just hear testimonial after testimonial after testimonial. And I will point out, I'll be like, that one's no smarter than you, I promise. I know them. One of them was my older brother, and God bless him, but he's dumb as a pile of rocks. No, I can only say that because he's my brother. And, oh, great point, Jacqueline. And she says, and the classes, they're not stale. It's not like those classes are from 2011. They're from, that we always are constantly updating the information. The information you just watched from Mark Kohler, he recorded in the studio this year. You know, we're constantly updating the information. So it'll rock your world if you allow it to. But then it's decision point. It's like, yeah, but how do I get started? Where do I get started? I don't have the money. Yeah, but I don't have the money. Well, yeah, but that's not a good enough excuse. Because we have another instructor that works with Renatus. And he teaches people how to raise capital, how to raise private funding. And he's pretty good at it, actually. And he's also speaking to you right now. I'm really good at raising money to do real estate. You think if I can find $15 million, I can help you find 20 grand? Better believe I can. For most of you. For some of you, I can't. Like, if you come to me and you've murdered everything about your financial life, well, I've pretty much got one option for you. But isn't it awesome that I've got an option for you? Like, it doesn't matter. So, Ken, let's go back to actually, before you swap over, I want you to know that Anthony Robbins is one of my favorite mentors. And he says it's in your moments of decision, your destiny is created. I want to put Ken, I'm going to move around. I want to put some power behind that for a moment because I got started 15 years ago this month. 15 years ago, I sat in a presentation just like you guys, and I'd gone from this to, wait a minute, you're telling me I can do what? I can buy houses with no money or no credit. Like, if that's true, somebody hold me back because it's about to get crazy in here. Like, if you can show me how to buy houses with no money or no credit, I got nothing but time. I got nothing but time. But there was that moment where I decided I'm in. And I want to be very clear. At that moment that I decided I was in, I didn't have the money. Did you get that? But I made the decision that I was moving forward. I didn't know how, but I'd read a lot of books. And they tell me that when you make a decision to do something, move forward in the direction. Move forward towards its accomplishment, even if you don't know how you're going to accomplish it. But take action towards its achievement. Have you ever read Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich? Yes. Doesn't it talk about that? Folks, let a man radically alter his thoughts and he'll be astonished at the rapid transformation of the material conditions of his life. This is when it started for me. I made a decision. I said, I'm in. I don't know how I'm going to find the money. No, I'm all out. Anybody have a cough drop? I'm looking over it in the net. Whew. Oh, well, I like the fuzzy ones. They've been sitting in a purse a long time. Thanks. Okay, cool. Fuzzy cough drops. I love fuzzy cough drops and the ones that you like have to peel the wrapper off because you know it's been packed around for a long time. When you got to suck a cough drop long enough to get the paper off of it, it's like a Tootsie Pop, you know? Well, I'm going to prove that method right now. Okay. So here's the thing, folks. We can get everybody started if you want to. I hope, does that give you some relief? You're like, oh, you can get started. Okay, cool. So here's how it went for me. I came down and I sat down with my enroller, Justin, and he said, Kendall, what do you want to do? Where do you want to come in? And I'm like, well, I want all of it, but I don't have the money. And he says, if I can find you the money, then what are you going to do? And it was that decision point again. And I said, well, if you can find me the money, of course I'm all in. Well, there's no way you're going to find me the money. I'm a college student. I make 20 grand a year. Yeah, but you don't know my story. And he looked at me and he says, are you sure? If I find you the money, are you in? And there's that decision point again. And I said, yes, I'm in. He said, let's find you the money. So we sat down and he said he went through a little interview. Now I'm going to replay parts of my interview with Justin for you guys, simply so that you can go through the process and answer the same questions. He said to me, and I want you guys to take notes because when we're done tonight, you're going to have an opportunity to schedule a follow-up with the person who invited you down here. And when you schedule a follow-up, the purpose of the follow-up is for you to help them. Help them help you. Have you seen Jerry Maguire? Help me help you. And what you're going to come to is some of this information. Justin asked me, he says, Kendall, how much money do you have in your checking account? I'm like, really? You know I'm a college student. Like, today? Well, rent's not due yet. And I had like $300. He said, how about a savings account? I said, what's that? I worked at a bank, but I didn't own one of those. Okay, and so we went through some of this, and I'll interject some of my interview with him, and then I'll interject what I've learned over the years. Some of my students, I had one guy, he was working a job, and he had money in his 401k. You can actually, he was able to borrow from his 401k. He could borrow up to $50,000 out of a 401k. I've had other students come down with a retirement account. Some of them choose to take a distribution from their retirement account, and that can be a taxable event. Sometimes they choose to self-direct it. There's a number of different ways that they can get funding there. Then you can look into, do you own a home? Do you have a home equity line of credit? And then the caveat, do you have any idea how powerful that could be in paying off your home? And I assure you the answer is no. But you will, because you're going to have an opportunity to come back and meet with Kim next week. Okay? So you could look into a home equity line of credit. What are the resources you could tap into there? I had one of my students, he was a dentist, and we went through all of these, and he's like, Kendall, none of those work for me. And we get down to life insurance. And he had a life insurance policy, a cash value life insurance policy, and he pulled $20,000 from his life insurance to fund his education. Then I remember Justin, he asked me, he said, Kendall, how many credit cards do you have? And I'm like, one? And it was so cool because I had one little Visa, and he says, how much do you owe on it? I said, $300. He said, what's the limit? 1,000. And I kind of looked at him like, see, I told you you can't find me the money. Like, I wanted to be right. Okay. What I learned is I did have $700 available, but is that going to get me started anywhere? No, not that I could see. And so, but I go over this now, and I encourage you guys to do the same thing. Answer these questions. We're going on 2 months now with this same cough. It's pretty awesome. Said nobody. It sucks. But now I could go through this and I could say, okay, I've also got an American Express. I don't owe anything on it. I've got a $10,000 limit, which gives me 10 grand available. And folks, I just want you to look at your financial situation. Be very real with where you are and uncover, are any of these an option for you? For some it will be, for some it won't be. Doesn't matter. Stay with me. Okay, then I look at Chris. Chris, wave your hand. You guys are going to meet Chris at the end. I'm going to provide an opportunity where if you want to, speaking of credit cards, if you want to peek behind the curtain, where's Giovanni? Giovanni, come out here. Don't hang out in the AV room. Come out where they can see you. Giovanni, this is what he did. There is a company that we work with. It's a third-party company. And Giovanni, hey, well, you know, this guy is amazing. And I wanted him to come out in the back of the room, but here he is in the front, whatever. He's like, dude, I know I look good. I'm coming to the front of the room. It's all good. And he is more of the epitome of fitness than I am, but I have more fun. Just saying. Okay, so Giovanni, we put you with, there's a dozen. I mean, there's dozens and dozens of companies that do this type of a strategy. It's called credit stacking. But you were able to go in and pull your credit. You did a soft credit pull. Oh, what kind of pull? Does that affect his credit? So he did a soft credit pull, and then the company looked at that, and based on what they saw on his credit, they pre-qualified him for some credit cards, additional credit cards. What did they pre-qualify you for?
45 to 50 grand.
45 to 50,000 pre-qualified, and get this. So here's Giovanni. Giovanni, 40 to 50K pre-qualified at what percentage rate?
0%.
0%. What did I tell you guys earlier? If it makes you money, it costs you. If you're borrowing money at 0%, it costs you. Okay, so this is what you were pre-qualified for. What did they actually get you?
38 grand.
$38,000. And that's 0% for how long?
18 to 24 months.
18 to 24 months. And your monthly payment on that?
It's like 350, 325, 350. Varies.
About 325 to 350. And where'd you come in?
All in.
All in. All of a sudden, 20 grand is not 20 grand because 20 grand is 320. And we start thinking of that and we're like, that's $10 a day. What can I do to create $10 a day? Go drive one Uber drive a day for $10 a day. Don't come to me with your yeah, but excuse. No, go do something. Come clean my office. I'll pay you $10. You clean my office, I'll pay you more than $10. Okay, anyway. All right, thank you. Give it up for Giovanni. Now, we get back to Chris. Where's Chris? Chris raised his hand earlier. When I sat down with Chris, we go through all of this, and every time I put something up, he just kind of like, and he'd just laugh. Like, dude, you got nothing. And I said, okay, Chris, what do you own? I mean, I know you got a lot of toys. What do you own? He's like, well, I own my car. Is there anything we can do with that? I'm like, I don't know. Is there any value in your car? He's like, yeah, it's worth about 15 grand. So he went down to Wells Fargo and he refinanced his car. Not got a title loan. He went to Wells Fargo and says, I want to buy a car. Gave him the VIN number of his car. They gave him a loan. He gave him the pink slip. So Chris refinanced his car. That's how he got some money. And then he had the remaining to get started in the company. Chris, where'd you come in? All in. The guy that was flat busted broke, quote unquote, found $20,000. There was less than $100 in your checking account. Awesome. How much was in your savings? Yeah, right. Okay. Let's see. Then we get into love money. This is one of my favorites. Yep, love money. This is going to somebody that loves you. Love money. And this is going with a proposal. Now, typically what this is, the example I use here was a father and son. The son came down. He's like, Dad, I want to get started. He says, I've got good cash flow, but he'd been through a divorce, and the divorce wrecked his credit. Okay? And he's like, Dad, I've got the cash flow. I can make the monthly payment, but I don't have the credit. Can I use your card to buy the education, and I'll make the payment? And his dad said, yes. And then he put his dad on as his business partner, as his learning partner. Who won in that scenario? Both of them. It's a win-win. They both won. They both got what they needed. So love money. Let's see. What else am I missing here, guys? Yeah, stocks, bonds, mutual funds. Go sell some stuff. You know, sell other investments. Then if you're going, okay, well, that's pretty good, but you still haven't found it for me. Then we get down to a third-party company that we use called UGA, Universal Guardian Acceptance. Now, Universal Guardian Acceptance, this is the one where everybody can get started. To get started with UGA, it's a $25 application fee. How much? Okay, non-refundable application fee. You got to understand, they don't care what your credit is. It's 100% acceptance. How many of us are in the I got bad credit club? I mean, we can raise our hand though. Credit fluctuates, right? Sometimes it's awesome, sometimes it sucks. Credit is a tool. That's the way it's supposed to be. If you're walking around going, I got an 850 credit score, and you're just bragging about it, you don't know anything. That is nothing to brag about. You should figure out how to turn that into a vehicle where you can leverage that. Leverage it and create a tool to create wealth in real estate. So UGA, $25 application fee. So if we're looking at the essentials, 1997, it is a 20% down payment. How much? Okay, so how much is that? $400 down, and then the monthly payment is about $110 a month, give or take, just a little bit. I should put a range there because somebody's going to come back and say, you said it was 110. Nope, I gave you a range. It's a range between 100 and 125. Is that good enough? 125 a month, because I don't know exactly where it's going to land until you put it in. I don't know how much you're going to put down. But with $400 down and $100 a month ballpark, you can get started. If you come in on the full program, $20,000. How much is the down payment? $4,000. Whoops, $4,000 down. But then this one naturally is going to have a much higher payment. Do you know why? Because they finance everybody. But if your cash flow is good, is that a decent option? It is. You see, folks, I don't care what your yeah, but situation is. I don't care what your story is. What's that? Is it a write-off? I love the question. What do you think? Yeah. You better, no. She says, do I have to make it my business first? No. See, one of the first things you're going to learn in tax and legal class is that immediately, once you make a decision, you guys can decide tonight. Start tracking your mileage today. You've made a decision. You're in business. You don't have to go down to a bank. You don't have to set anything up. You are in startup mode. And you can be in startup mode for up to 3 years. So you are in business. Start tracking everything. Folks, every single one of you in the room deserve to participate in what we're offering. Now, I know we've gone through so much information in just under 2 hours. We've gone through so much info, but I want to break it down as simple as to get started with this is a 3-step process. How many steps? 3. And I'm telling you, you can make the decision and start moving forward towards your goal tonight. Step number 1, you set up your account. You set up your account, we can get you into some of the training that we talk about. We can get you started on the training. You set up your account, we can do that tonight. Step 2 is then we go out and we start finding the money. We figure out through these different options that we looked at here, which, if any of these are going to work for you, or we're going to come down to UGA. Doesn't much matter because everyone can get started. So number 2, we find the money. Then number 3, and this is the powerful one, we unlock your education. Once you unlock your education, you start the journey of getting into real estate. Start the journey of looking, how do we go out and make those profits? How do we go out and make $45,000? For those of you that were at the property tour in Hemet, Darren's set to make about 35 grand on that house. If you were in Riverside, Luis is set to make about 80,000 on that deal. Come on, pick your poison. Which one do you want? You want the 30 deal or do you want the 80 deal? You can have them both. I hate the phrase, you can't have your cake and eat it too. It's confused a fat guy. Why would you want cake and not eat it? I don't get it. You can have your cake and eat it. You don't just look at it. For heaven's sakes, this isn't window shopping. So it's a 3-step process. For those of you that want to do what Giovanni did and want to peek behind the curtain, like you may not know where your credit is. Chris, raise your hand again. Chris tonight will put you through the same process Giovanni did. There's a number of companies that we can go through, but there's one that particular that we work with. Chris can put it through. It's a 7-day trial. How many days? 7-day trial, and it costs $1. How much? $1. It's a soft credit pull. You can look behind and just see where you're at. We had a gentleman that was here 3 weeks ago sitting, oh, that's weird. He's sitting where Jonathan is, and guess what his name is? That's freaky. But he was sitting right there. Chris sat down next to him. We pulled up his score. He pulled up his own credit report. He submitted it in, and they said pre-qualified, $30,000 to $40,000, 0%. So Jonathan came down going, I don't think there's any way I can do this. Wanting to do it, wanting to move forward, yet he walked out the door knowing there was a solution of how he could pay for it. The next step was he got on the phone with them, had a conversation. He's finding the money, then it's unlocked the education. Folks, we've gone over so much information tonight. I wish we had time to go into what Nate Lambert has done, but I want to reiterate that one more time. I want you to make money. I don't care how you do it. Well, I do. I want you to be moral and ethical. Like, don't do anything crazy. Be moral and ethical. But if you're going to get started with us, that's what we expect anyway. But I don't care if it's through doing real estate deals or if it's through helping us in market expansion. We're looking for sharp people to put the word out there. How many of you learned something tonight? How many of you have found value in what we're covering and there's other people that could benefit from this? You want to get started immediately? You want to put yourself on the fast track to make money? Invite somebody with you next week. Come back, join us next week. Join us Saturday at our property tours. Join us, bring somebody. If you find value, chances are others will too. We're looking for sharp people for our market expansion. My iPad's going to die in 4%. We're going to go real fast here. Remember, I told you that Nate Lambert made how much? Whoo! Come on, does that inspire anybody or just me? I saw him post that on Facebook. I immediately texted him. I'm like, dude, you're the man. Like, you destroyed my record. My personal best was 106,000. And you crushed me. You crushed me. And then I texted the CEO of the company, and you know what he texted back to me? He said, hey, did you hear I just paid Nate 143 grand? It's a new record. And he says, Kendall, records are made to be broken. Go break it. When the CEO calls you out a little bit, you get a little fire underneath you. You're like, all right, it's time to do this. Folks, I don't want to do it alone. It's really fun, but it's more fun to go to Disneyland. It's more fun to go to Big Bear. It's more fun to go to wherever you're going, whatever you do for fun, when you take friends with you. Do you realize that? And family. Family's a given for me. But here's the thing. It's not crowded at the top. It's the bottom that's crowded. I want to give you guys a legitimate solution to overcome that. So do you believe, I mean, have we given enough evidence tonight that you can make money in real estate? Or do I need to pay 25 more minutes of that video? We can, it would be awesome, but I think that's there. Now let's talk about this. Nate Lambert, what he did is he got started all in at the combo. He got started at $19,994. He bought his combo. This was Nate. Okay, here's the fast track. Guys, I'm not going over the full earnings plan. Full disclosure, this is one way. This only works for the combo. Okay, we'll give you a full disclosure, give you everything on it when you see the full version of the comp plan. But our average student, first year, our first year students, the independent contractors make anywhere from $406 up to, what was the high end, like $12,000 a year. I mean, it's crazy. You go sell colon cleansers, you're not going to make $400 over the course of a year. And that's what people are averaging year one in this business. Why? Because our comp plan is so good. At the Essentials, $1997, how much did I say Bob Snyder pays you? $1,000. At the AIT, the Extreme, $17,997, how much does he pay you? $9,000. This is what Nate Lambert did, folks. Let me show you. Nate came in, he bought his own, he sold 2 more. That's the catch. People say, what's the catch? Nate bought 1 and sold 2 combos. After that, he's what we refer to as 5-star qualified. From there, every referral that he personally brings on pays him $10,000. Do the math. Do the math. I love it. Like, I can do this math. I can do math by tens. I'm not a real estate agent. They're brilliant. They can do any number by 6%. Am I right? Yeah. Bill shakes his head. He's like, yeah, pretty much. If I tell him I'm selling a house for $737,432, he knows what 6% of that is. But I don't. But I do know that once I get qualified, and we'll show you all how to get qualified. Once I got qualified, I knew that every referral paid me up to $10,000. Do the math, folks. Here was my first year in the business. It was so amazing. It took me 9 months to buy my first house. I didn't know anything. But that very first house I ever bought paid me $50,000. If it makes you money, it costs you nothing. You think I was amped up? You think I was fired up? I was a zoologist who knew nothing. Question? What was I doing for 9 months? Yeah, I was watching the classes and I was telling anybody that would listen to anything how excited I was. And I got to tell you, I was ignorance on fire. I didn't have a clue what I was doing, but ignorance on fire is better than knowledge on ice. And so I got out there and I shared it. And wouldn't you know that ignorance on fire, I had 6 people join my team after I got qualified, which put another $65,000 in my pocket, which meant year 1 in this business, I went from $20,000 college student to freaking on top of the world. And then I got challenged to do that in a month. And game freaking on. And now Nate Lambert setting the bar even higher. Folks, I don't care where you make the money. I just encourage you to come and see. Come look behind the curtain. Come get more information. You may not have enough information now, but some of you do. This is your 2nd, 3rd, 4th exposure. Get started. It's a 3-step process. What are those steps? Right there. What is the step? Step 1? Number 2? Number 3? We can do that tonight, folks. As Anthony Robbins said, it's in your moments of decision, your destiny is created. Please, do yourself a favor. Don't take this lightly. We will rock your world if you allow us to. Have a good one, guys. Oh, I forgot, didn't I? I forgot to mention the property tours. Darren, what's the address in Hemet? That's all right, Ken, you can kill the recording. Those guys, they're not coming to Hemet anyway. Thanks, online. Oh, the Grand Terrace. We're going to be in Grand Terrace this Saturday. We're going to, what is it again?